Okay, well this is a boost solenoid, boost control valve, whatever people want to call it. And you might recall I did a video on cleaning one of these. Although this is off my Volvo D5, this is very common on many manufacturers. So hopefully, a lot of people will find this useful. And when I did the cleaning video, it just basically involved putting brake fluid through these pipes, removing this cover here by taking off these 4 clips, lifting that off, and there's a black mesh underneath, making sure that was debris free. And in a lot of cases that sorts out overboost issues, no problem at all. But sometimes that isn't enough, so I'm just going to show you an additional method for cleaning this whereby I'll be removing this pipe assembly, and it's just held in by this crimped edge just here. I'm actually going to take it off from underneath, so all I'm going to do, just using a combination of ever increasing screwdrivers, just basically prise this up and take this pipe assembly off and show you what's underneath. And then you get a slightly larger screwdriver under the lip. Just work your way around. It takes a little time, so just take your time, be nice and methodical, don't rush it. Okay, so now we're at the end here, and like I say, just with gentle prising, and eventually it comes apart like this. Okay, so you've got the pipe assembly just there, and so if you're going to be putting spraying carb cleaner, brake cleaner in here, it's very easy to see if it is running clear and coming out of there, so that makes that job easier. Also clean up all of this here, might be oily, might be a little bit sticky, a bit carbony, is that even a word? Whatever it is, it could be a bit sticky anyway, so get that cleaned up. And then on the solenoid itself, as I say in the first video, you just prise 1, 2, 3, 4 clips just there. You lift that up, and that takes off the this cover. Spray carb cleaner, brake cleaner on the mesh, get that nice and clean. And then in here, you just get yourself as thin a screwdriver as you can, and just try and get in behind the edge, and you just lift this rubber diaphragm. Be very careful because it's very thin rubber, and you want to inspect the rubber to make sure that there's no tears in it. If you've got a tear in the rubber, the solenoid is junk basically, and you'll if you can source the rubber, great, but you might just have to get yourself a new solenoid. And because it's a general part, you can look around, I mean, this particular one, this is made by Peerberg. This is the 2-pipe version. There's some versions with 3 pipes. So on my Volvo D5, there's the Peerberg part number just there. So I don't have to get a genuine Volvo one, because the Peerberg part will be exactly the same part, and it will do exactly the same job. So you don't have to spend big. And this rubber diaphragm just stretches and comes off the plunger assembly. I'll just take the whole plunger out though. There we go. And as you can see on there, just a little bit corrosion, yeah, tiny bit of corrosion. So all I'm going to do with that, and the rubber does come off this part. There we go. It will prise off there and just come off there. I don't want to be too rough with it and force it whilst on video, but if you get your screwdriver in there, see if I can just get it to do it whilst we're here. There we go. So that comes off. So you inspect that for any splits or tears, and then the plunger itself. There's a little hole just inside, and you want to get a screwdriver in there, and you just want to make sure there's a little spring loaded. You want to make sure that moves up and down freely. Okay, so I'll be getting some fine sandpaper. This is 2000 grit, nothing major. You don't want to take off the size or the diameter of this, but I'm going to get some sandpaper on this, give it a very fine sanding around. I'll be using carb cleaner on the pipe assembly, just running that through there. Then in there, the tiniest squirt of carb cleaner, nothing major though, and I'll be just basically pushing this in and out and getting it all cleaned up nicely. And then when I'm all done, I'll dry that out with kitchen towel. And when I'm all done, I'll just use some silicone lubricant, which is rubber friendly, and just coat this so that when it does all go back together, this plunger operates nice and smoothly. It's fairly smooth now, but there's a tiny bit of drag, so yeah. And it's all about just getting it all cleaned up, getting that rubber diaphragm back on to there, putting the pipes back on, putting the mesh cover back on, and then to re-crimp everything, you just need to make sure you got pliers that are wide enough to be able to crimp the edges back down, and you use pliers, screwdriver, whatever you need to do to get that edge nice and secure back on there, and you will have a very clean, very freely moving, and provided it's electrically sound. If it's not electrically sound, there's nothing you can do anyway, but these are very reliable, and provided you get all that cleaned up, you've got as good as a new boost solenoid again. And you can sometimes get that, it's like a hesitation when the engine's very cold, and then it's absolutely fine once it warms up, and it can feel like there's a lack of fuel or whatever. And I've cured a couple of cars now that have been just sluggish right at the bottom end of the rev scale, just by taking out this solenoid and cleaning everything up. So yeah, it's all about the vacuum being able to be diverted at the correct moment, and all the vacuum being diverted. So if you've got a split in this rubber diaphragm, that's going to mess things up, and it's just all about making sure the valve operates exactly as you want. So I hope you find that extra bit of cleaning advice useful, and thanks very much for watching.